In this video, you will be shown how to properly install the Momento heating cable. The Momento cable is a non-return twisted cable which makes the installation faster and easier. This type of heating system is quiet, dust-free, and compatible with most types of floor coverings. Refer to your flooring specialist to find the most suitable one for your needs. Despite all the information you will find in this video, we encourage you to follow the instruction manual during the installation. Calculating the surface which will be heated is one of the most important steps prior to purchase the cable. The cable cannot be cut and has to be completely installed on the floor according to the spacing standards of the manufacturer. If your estimation was based on a plan, you should take the time to reconfirm the exact measurements on site once the framing of the room is completed. All furniture which don't allow for air circulation will have to be deducted from the total square footage of the room. So measure the whole surface of the room and deduct the non-heated areas like vanities, cabinets, toilets, shower space, or tub. When selecting the size of cable suitable for your floor space, you should look for a cable that is equivalent or less to the size of the room to prevent extra wire. In most cases, rooms have what we call a buffer zone, which is a space in a room that would not require the installation of cables, but would be used if for multiple reasons you had extra cable. Don't include this surface in your calculations. Here's the list of material you will need to install your Momento cable system. The heating cable with spacing strips, an instruction guide, thermostat and floor sensor, a hot glue gun, a multimeter, a megometer, a measuring tape, a calculator, a marker or pencil, electrical tape, a vacuum, a broom, a sponge, and a pail of water. It is very important to clean the working surface properly before you proceed with the installation. Use a broom, a vacuum, and a damp sponge to clean off the remaining dust from the surface to ensure a good adherence of the spacing strips to the floor. Before you start the installation of the cable, you must test the cable on the spool. The manufacturer's seal confirms that the cable was tested in the factory. Don't install a cable which the seal is broken. Test the wire using your multimeter before removing the seal. Write down your results on the appropriate sheet you will find in the cable box. The cable should be kept at the following distance of these objects: 6 inches from any drain, shower, toilet, or main drain, 2 inches from the walls, half an inch from any furniture, vanity, or cabinet, 8 inches from any heating sources installed on the floor, like heat vents, and the distance between the spacing strips should never exceed 10 feet. When pulling the first part of the cable, you will notice that the diameter of this part is bigger than the heating cable. This part, called the cold lead, is non-heated and has to be installed in the wall. At the junction of the heated cable and the cold lead is the mechanical splice. The thicker piece of plastic will have to be installed in the floor at the bottom of the wall near the thermostat. To do so, you will have to groove the substrate and secure the splice using hot glue. This part will eventually be covered by self-leveler or mortar. In the cable box, you will also find all the spacing strips you need for securing the cables to the floor. Those 12-inch spacing strips can be hooked up together by a simple press of your fingers. The spacing strips can be fastened to the floor using either hot glue, staple, screws, or other types of adhesive depending on the substrate you're working on. The cable can't be stapled under any circumstances. This practice would automatically void the manufacturer's warranty. Once the spacing strips are installed, you are ready to start hooking the cable to the strips. Unroll the cable as you attach it to the spacing strips, respecting the pre-established spacing between the wires. Keep a good tension on the cable to limit the movement when comes the time to cover the wires with thinset or self-leveler. Remember that at no time the cable should overlap another, be stapled, or cut. To prevent the cable from moving when you embed it in mortar or leveler, we recommend you slip another spacing strip at the midpoint under the cable or secure them to the floor using hot glue. Always be careful not to damage the cable with the hot tip of the glue gun. Once the whole cable is installed, you have to fix your sensor to the floor. The sensor has to be positioned exactly in the middle of 2 heated wires at about a foot from the wall. Make sure the sensor does not overlap the heated cable. Keep the sensor in a neutral area where it can't be affected by another source of heat like a wall heater, a heat vent, or even a stove. Even the sun rays can influence the reading of the sensor. Once you've located the right position of the sensor, glue it down using the hot glue gun and be careful not to touch the sensor with the hot tip of the gun. The installation is now completed. Before the final hookup by the electrician, you will have to test your cable resistance for the last time. Write the reading on your worksheet. We strongly recommend to take pictures of your installation, which you can keep in a file for future references. Other resistance tests should be performed after covering the wire with self-leveler or mortar, as well as after the floor covering installation. A 28-day curing period after the tile installation is mandatory prior to turn on your heating system.